agenda somewhere. Please lead.
Sure, ma'am. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. First, I'd like to say good evening to my fellow board members.
Good evening, Madam
Good
Chair.
evening. And to our town manager, Mr. Scott
evening,
Crabtree,
Town Manager.
and our clerk Meredith.
Hi, Meredith.
Good evening. Ladies and gentlemen in the audience and those watching from home. Please note that this meeting is being recorded. The first item on the agenda is under correspondence. It's the SCTV budget. Is SCTV prepared to discuss their budget at this time, or would you like a minute to get settled? You're just walking in, so would you like a minute? Okay, would somebody please table the SCTV budget?
So moved, Madam Chairman.
Thank you, and that's seconded by the chair. Discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor of Selectman Cogliano's motion, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. The next item is citizens' comments. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak before the board? Okay. Seeing none, our first public hearing's at 7:05.
Madam
I
Chairman,
need Selectman Cogliano.
could I make a motion to take out of order the appointments of the Board of Appeals? We have the chairman of the Board of Appeals here, and I also got a text message from one of the current members that I'd like to share with the board, so if we could take that out of order, I'd
Sure.
appreciate that.
That's seconded by the chair. Is there further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of Selectman Cogliano's motion, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Yes, Selectman
Thank you,
Cogliano.
Madam Chairman. Just a point of clarification. I spoke with John Cannon today because I had spoke to John a week or so ago, and John expressed his interest in becoming an alternate member on the board. I spoke to Chairman Travis regarding that. He also confirmed that. And then we got the letter yesterday that said he wanted to remain as a member. So I called John today, and I had him text message me just for clarification if he was looking for the permanent spot or an alternate spot. And he said that he would be comfortable with the alternate spot. So I know he sent the email. I think that the board needs clarification on that as to whether he wants to be a permanent or an alternate, and I think at this point, before we proceed with that, I'd feel more comfortable tabling it to get clarification in writing from John Cannon.
Selectman Cogliano, we did receive a letter from Mr. Cannon saying that he wanted to remain as a permanent member. I also spoke with him. I was confused because typically you don't have a permanent member stepping down.
Yep.
It's a learning experience to be an alternate member, and then you move up to a permanent member. And I called him up and I said, you know, why would you want to do that? I was a little confused. And he said because he received information stating that he could not serve on the Housing Authority as well as being a permanent member of the Board of Appeals. I told him that that was not true, but I would check with Town Council just to double check. Town Council verified what I told John. I called John back and he said, oh no, he said, I would definitely like to stay on as a permanent member. I said, if that's what you would like to do, because there is confusion from this email that came through, please send a letter letting the board know of your intentions. And he sent that letter on Monday. He hand-delivered it to you, Meredith, on Monday? And the board members should have received that letter.
Yeah, the reason I bring this up, Madam Chairman, is I got a text message from him at 5:11 p.m. tonight. So I think there's still, I'm clear on what he wanted because I just spoke with him. But I know the board doesn't have that in front of them. Only thing I have is a text message
Madam
from
Chairman,
John regarding.
Yes, Selectman Serino.
we can just leave his appointment. We can still have one opening. We can go fill that one open and decide, see what he wants to end up doing. But I did receive the letter that he wants to serve. He said he was misinformed, that he had to resign. And he doesn't have to resign.
Oh, I understand that, and that those, I went over the same points that you and Deb did regarding the position, and he assured me again that he was looking for the alternate position. So, I'm still not, I know I'm clear because I spoke to him at 5:11 today, but I know the board has what they have in front of them. I have the same letter yesterday. That's what I got today. So, I'm comfortable filling the one vacancy,
Yeah.
and we can determine what we do with John. But I don't know how comfortable I am filling in alternate positions, because if John wants an alternate position, I'd feel more comfortable filling that when we find out what John wants to do.
Madam Chair?
Selectman Ciccolini.
I tend to agree with that. I think we filled the one spot that we know, and I'd really like to get it right with John. I mean, it sounds to me from talking with Chairman Traverse that his real passion lies with the Housing Authority as well, and that does have its own involvement. So, I mean, if he wants permanent, that's fine, but if he does want to step into an alternate role, I'd rather get that right once and for all. And
Okay.
so maybe we can just ask him, I mean...
That's, if that's what the board would like to do, that's fine. Like I said, I had 2 long conversations with him, so him changing his mind from a couple of days ago, but that's fine, whatever the board wants to do. So with that said, it sounds like the board feels comfortable making a motion to move, well, for one person either moving up from alternate, I would assume moving up from alternate to permanent. So would somebody like to make a motion of that? Would you like to make a motion?
Madam Chair,
Selectman Ciccolini.
I would like to make a motion that we move Chris Riley up to permanent member on the Board of Appeals, based on the meetings that I've watched and viewed. He clearly attends, he has a high attendance rate. He's been involved in many of the items that are already in process in town, and I think he'd be a natural fit going into the full position.
Okay, and that's seconded by the chair.
Madam
Madam
Chairman.
Chair, I need to,
I understand.
okay.
Madam
This will be
Chair,
quick.
Madam Chairman,
Selectman Serino.
Chris was my first choice also to be an alternate member, so I'll support that.
Yeah, I agree with you. I've been, if I'm not at a Board of Appeals meeting, I'm watching the Board of Appeals meeting, and I agree with you, Selectman Ciccolini. So we have a motion.
Is
Okay.
that 3 years?
Yes.
It's a 3-year.
Oh, I thought it was a 5-year term.
Board of Appeals?
Depends
Board of
what-
Appeals, 5
5-year
years?
term, right?
3 years.
It depends what term, what position he's filling.
Yeah,
when
just
their
see what-
term
It's a vacant
expires.
position that's been vacant.
So you have to go with whatever the.
So whatever the term is.
Whatever the vacant position you're filling
Yeah.
is, whatever that
Yeah.
So
expiration date
Meredith,
is.
in my motion, it'll fill whatever the remaining term of the vacant position that's currently in existence.
Okay. And that was seconded by the chair. We just had discussion. All those in favor of Selectman Chicalini's motion, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 4-0. Thank you. So the board wants to wait on alternates?
Yes, Madam Chairman.
Okay.
Madam Chair?
If you would like, sure.
And Madam Chair, while Mr. Traverse is coming up, Meredith, can I ask that you contact John
Yes, yes, you can.
and ask him for one final notation to the Board of Selectmen
In writing,
in writing as to what his intention is in the form of permanent continuance or alternate continuance? This will be the final correspondence on the matter.
The only thing I wanted to add was if you could find out whether or not we could have 2 or 3 alternates. Can you confirm that with Attorney Vassapoli, whether we're allowed to have 3? Because I've been hearing different things. I remember serving at different times when we had 3 alternates, but as I said to Mr. Ciccolini, that doesn't mean that it was right.
Right.
Yeah, I think you can have you can have at least 3,
I think we can have 3.
Again.
at least.
Maybe we don't have to table it.
And we'll, when we get to alternate, get more into that, because I would like to see that, I think all people that applied are good, and I want to see everyone get involved. And I would like to go to 3 alternates if we can.
Thank you.
Madam Chairman, we have enough candidates to fill the alternate positions then, don't we?
We do have, if that is the,
We just leave, we can do 2 alternates and leave 1 open. Okay.
I agree.
do you want to do that tonight?
Well, we have,
Because,
so we have 2 alternate openings right now because Bob Northrop is still an alternate.
Oh, Northwood, yeah, so we have
Bob
1.
is,
And then we have two other people that apply.
and John will either go, if he's an alternate,
John-
then
Yeah,
Bob
John
is
goes
going to
down,
move
Bob goes
up,
yes,
We
right?
can take care of this all tonight.
We can.
yeah, and regardless of what John's decision is.
John's
We would have to
decision-
elevate.
Right, we then,
If John
right.
steps down, we have to
If
elevate.
John, right,
So
exactly.
do you want me to withdraw my motion, Madam Chairman, to table?
Well, we just wait.
We didn't vote on it.
Whatever the board feels.
Because we have 2 excellent candidates for alternate members.
Yeah, I say we do.
And if we can
do
have
it
3,
so-
I say we do it now.
When's your next meeting?
Oh, okay.
We have a special meeting on the 20th,
Yeah.
which is for 40B.
Yeah, so I'd rather have them involved. I'd rather have as many involved as possible.
When 40B is kind of, attendance is tough.
Yeah.
Members can only miss 1 meeting. Excuse me, they can miss 1 meeting, and they have to make it up at Washington. If they miss 2, they're out of the proceedings. So right now, we only have 5 members. So Mr. Federico has attended in the audience every meeting. So if something happened, and we had to fill a seat, he's the only one that can step in without us basically starting the proceedings all over, or have to go with the major decision on the development of only 4 members instead of 5.
And just to clarify one other point on that, Mr. Travis, John Cannon hasn't been at either of those, so he'd be excluded from sitting on the 40B no matter what.
We'll put 2 alternate on.
Yeah. I think we can.
Let's put 2
Yeah,
alternate.
Right.
Frank also is a contractor, he's like carpenter at the vote, I think he'd be a great owner. Stacy, I don't know, Stacy will be a great owner. I like to see everyone involved.
I think we're all in agreement.
Yeah.
Okay. Madam Chairman, I'll make a motion that we appoint Stacy Herman Durant as an alternate member.
And that's second by the chair. Is that okay with you, Selectman Corigliano?
Yes, sure.
Okay.
And there's no term on that, right? It just-
I always thought the Board of Appeal terms were 5 years,
No, I
so.
meant on the alternate.
Alternate, it should be
all-
a 3-year
all-
term.
Yeah, okay.
I'd have to look, but I know planning board is a 5-year appointment. I'm not sure definitively
is,
about the Board
yeah.
of Appeals.
Okay.
But my suggestion would be, even with the alternates, you probably want to make sure you have some kind of alternating year so that they're not all expired at the same time.
That's a,
But
yeah, I agree with you.
You could
It's-
appoint them tonight for a certain date, and then we could adjust them at the next meeting.
Excellent.
It's better to be staggered.
Okay.
Okay, so I'll
Okay,
make
so you
that
made
as
that
a
in a
motion, yep.
motion. I seconded it. We had discussion, and we'll figure out the terms.
Sure.
All those in favor of Selectman Sereno's motion for Stacy, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Congratulations to
Congratulations.
Stacy.
Madam Chairman,
Selectman Cogliano.
I'd like to nominate Frank Federico for the other alternate position.
And that is seconded by the chair. Is there further discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor of Selectman Cogliano's motion, please
Aye.
indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. And congratulations to him as well. So we just have to figure out what John wants to do, and we'll just move accordingly. He could, if he stays where he is, we're good to go. And if he doesn't, and just so that there's no confusion, I did speak with town council regarding how many alternates there could be. According to statute, there could be up to 5. I don't recommend that.
No,
Because,
no one does.
but you could have up to 5. I figured that would be a question that might pop up tonight. Okay, so we're done with that, so thank you all for coming, who came for
Thank
the
you.
Board of Appeals. I appreciate you coming, Mr. Chairman. With that said, is SCTV ready for their, so would somebody please make a motion to take SCTV off the table?
So moved, Madam Chairman.
And that is seconded by the chair. Is there further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of Selectman Cogliano's motion, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Would SCTV please come up? Good evening, and we all know who you are, but if you would mind, please stating your name and address for the record, please. Sure. And one last thing, before you begin, I just want to make sure that we are all looking at the correct information. We received a packet that Maureen Wickham brought down to the office that shows a budget for 2026 of $434,775. We received a little after 4 o'clock today, we received another budget for $427,775. Which one should we be looking at?
The one approved by the board of 434,775.
So this one here, we're going to ignore.
I'm not aware of that one, Madam Chair.
Okay. All righty.
So good evening, Madam Chair and members of the Board of Selectmen and fellow residents of Saugus. My name is Sandro Benzini, and I've been assigned as the treasurer for the cable television. And pursuant to the Section 7 of the agreement by and between the Town of Saugus and Saugus Community Television, signed on March 2nd, 2017, approved of the budget requirements set forth by the SCTV to be approved by the Board of Selectmen in a public meeting. So as a treasurer of Saugus Community Television, I'm here to present our proposed budget to fiscal year 2026. First, I wanted to express our continued commitment to providing high-quality, transparent, and community-centered programming for the town of Saugus. So the total salaries expenses came to $333,675. The total payroll expenses, $275,000 and $675. Employee taxes, $26,000. Simple IRA, $10,000. Healthcare stipends, $19,000 and $500. And payroll services and fees, $2,500. Total operations expense, $101 and $100. Administrative fee, $50,900. Computer, internet, and subscriptions, $16,200. Maintenance, building equipment, repairs, $16,400. And facility utilities, $17,600. So our fiscal year 26 budget total is $434,775, representing a modest increase over the last year's actuals. These adjustments reflect targeted investments in our staff, infrastructure, and operational resilience. Notably, salary adjustments ensure we remain competitive and reward the hard work of our core team. We've also increased funding for healthcare stipends, legal support, and utilities, responding to both rising costs and the realities of operating a public access station in today's media environment. While we always strive for efficiency, we also recognize the importance of proactive planning. Whether it's attending industry conferences, preparing for unexpected legal reviews, or keeping up with modern streaming technology, this budget equips us to deliver on our mission with professionalism and pride. I look forward to your questions, and thank you for your support and community meeting of Saugus. Thank you.
Are you ready for questions?
I'm open for questions if the board has questions.
The board has a lot of questions. Would you like to start?
Sure, thanks, Madam
Okay.
Chair. First of all, thank you for putting that together, I appreciate it. So the biggest concern that comes forth, and I think many of my fellow board members have shared this in the past, obviously revenues are on a decline. With subscriptions being down, if you look at the trend of revenues for the PEG access, we had a 3.24% decrease from 23 to 24, a projected 8.49% decrease from 24 to 25 in revenues. Even if 8% carried forward, your revenues for 26 would be pushing around $358,000. I, for one, am never comfortable approving a deficit budget. This is showing me that you have $434,000 worth of operating expenses and a potential of $60,000 worth of expenses, which is pushing about a $75,000 operating deficit. That isn't sustainable. This was a concern that came up the last two budget cycles, and they went back and kind of sharpened their pencils. I totally understand salary environment. I deal with it on at my firm, and a lot, employee retention is key. But this was a concern that I had when we talked about the administrative position that was filled, because I didn't know what the means to afford and support that were. So when you look at what the salaries being $275,000, administrative is $47,000 of that. That's 60% of the projected deficit is coming from that one position, the projected deficit. And then you talked about the healthcare stipend. That healthcare stipend has gone from $13,000 to $19,500. That's a 50% increase in the healthcare stipend. I understand the market might be there. The problem is you don't have necessarily an expense problem, you have a revenue problem. The revenue is on a negative spin. And this is throughout the industry. It's not just germane to Saugus. This is a revenue problem within, everyone's going to streaming, everyone's going to other platforms, they're getting rid of cable TV. That's the reason why no cable companies would come here. How many letters have we sent to RCN and Verizon just to for them to say, sorry, but not sorry, we're not coming, we're not investing in that infrastructure. They see the handwriting on the wall. Streaming is the present and the future. It's not in cable television. So I don't know about you, but my cable TV just went from $384 to $414 a month this past 2 months ago. I got a $30 a month increase. And that's cable, internet, the whole enchilada. So the point of the matter is, I understand this is reasonable, you sharpened your pencils. The problem is you can't afford it. There's not enough revenue in the station to support this budget. And that's the problem that has been coming for 2 or 3 years, because we've seen the cycle of the revenue. The revenue was going up a little bit steadily for a while, then it plateaued, and then the last few years we've seen it coming down, 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 and that trend is not going to change. It's going to continue. So right now you're looking at an almost 9% decrease in 25. Even if you were only at 9%, which I think it could be more, you're only going to be at $360,000 worth of revenue. So I just don't know how we can support a budget of $434,000 of expenses. You're going to basically be deficit spending $76,000. So that's my biggest question. I know it's not an easy question to answer, but that's, you know, mathematically it doesn't work. So I just don't know what the answer is, but I can tell you that I don't know if it's eliminating a position. I don't know if it's going to part-time. I'm not sure what the answer is. It's a tough situation to be in because the amount of coverage we get is fantastic. The programming, the coverage, it's fantastic what the station does with the fairly limited resources that you get. But the problem is we just don't have the revenue coming in to support that anymore. So those are my comments, Madam Chair.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Selectman Chicalini. I want to just add to what he said, because I would have said a lot of what Selectman Chicalini mentioned. First, I want to just mention that our contract with Comcast is over January of 2027. So that's going to be here like that. So whoever is on the board for the next term is going to have to work with Comcast and negotiate that deal, and then it's going to have to negotiate the bylaws and agreement with SCTV. I worked very hard on that. In fact, I was a treasurer of SCTV before I became a selectman back many moons ago. My question to you is that out of your 5 employees, are they all full-time or are they full-time and part-time?
We have full-time and we have part-times.
So can you tell me who is part-time?
Yes?
Only our administrative assistant is part-time.
Okay, so the only part-time person is and how many hours is the administrative assistant?
20 hours.
It's 29, mostly 20 to 25 hours, but the max that is allowed in the budget is the 29 hours. She does pick up a camera here and there. You've probably seen her at a few events. So that is why we've left money in the budget for 29 hours. She does not work 29 hours every single week.
Is a full-time equivalent 40 hours? Is full-time
Full-time is
40?
Yeah.
Correct.
No, I asked that because the salary associated with that particular position, you know, clearly isn't 20 hours. But you're saying it's 29 hours
Is the max.
So
is a all right, so that
Correct.
you're just putting,
So
A cap
it is to
on.
be, yeah, part-time, 20 hours, but we allow up to 29 hours max if need be within the station.
So the full-time equivalent of that salary, though, is higher than the executive director's salary.
To be honest, I've looked around at the towns around us. Saugus is paying for the same position a lot less than all our towns around us. And I looked at the numbers. Before we did this budget, we made sure that we know what are the towns around us and the state of Massachusetts in the same position that they hold, how much they're making. We have someone today making around $50,000 that out there in the state, they're making $120,000. And I can show you the numbers if you wish. I can bring in all the numbers of the positions that they're holding. They're really making a lot less that they could be making if they go to another town within the same position.
So there's a lot of things that come into play, but
Correct.
a lot of the municipalities that are cities that have high populations, they have significant higher revenue on their PEG access because of the number of subscribers.
And that's why we took into consideration those
But-
as well in order to make a decision into our budget.
I understand what you're saying. What I'm saying is, I'm not saying the job isn't worth it. I think you need to skinny down the job responsibilities and make this job into something that's only going to cost somewhere around $15,000 or $20,000 on 20 hours a week. It's the only way it's going to work. This, right now, you're on a $65,000 full-time equivalent for that salary. Your executive director is making $69,000. You can't have an administrative position at $65,000. It just can't. I know it's not making that because it's at 29 hours a week, but at 72%, it's budgeted for $47,000. That's the reason why, this is the exact conversation we had when this position was added to the budget, when the funding. But I understand it's needed, it's worth it, and I'm not saying that the value of the individual who's in the role. The problem is, You can't afford the position. So right now, you have it as a $65,000 full-time equivalent, making $47,000. That number is, for your budget, too high by $47,000, because you're already deficit spending, even without that position. So other communities, I get it. I'm not saying that this is a SCTV expense issue. Your problem starts at the revenue side. You don't have the revenue to support this budget. And that's not going to change with moving things around and saying, you know, we skinnied this as much as we possibly could. You know, think about it. If you have $0 starting in the bank, you bring in $360,000 and you go to spend $434,000, where's the $76,000 going to come from?
If I may answer your original question, because I haven't answered that yet, is it okay with you? Is it okay with you to answer your first question?
Yes,
Thank you.
please.
Unless I've been reported wrong, for the past 5 years, what Comcast has been giving to the usage of the cable television here in Saugus, it's been more than enough. And the previous administrations, they've been cutting the numbers. However, the station has been able to save for the past few years almost $300,000 per year of what is being given by the Comcast to the staff. So, as if I am incorrectly updated,
Excuse me, are you saying there was a $300,000 surplus?
Can you explain? Okay.
Yes, so it's going to be 300 total.
Okay, please explain it.
Oh, you're
Yeah,
saying
I
the
think where he
cumulative.
misspoke on that was, it's been about over 300,000 over the past 5 years, not each
So
individual year.
cumulatively, you're saying that, yeah, you're supposed to have some cushion in case there's unforeseen, or in case you have a major capital need, because you have major upgrades that you want to do from time to time, and you only get like $30,000 in the PEG access money for that. And you saw that last year, you spent 50-something, $52,000, 52,075, and you got 30.
If I may? Yes, we did. However, that money did come from money that was left over from the 2 previous years of being on a bare bones budget. So we didn't actually take that from our operational, a PEG account. That was taken from our operational. That wasn't even put aside for
All right,
capital.
so my point is, even if you had 300,000 as your starting checkbook balance, right? Let's say you started with 300,000. You approve this budget, you're going to eat into that by at least $76,000 based on what's proposed here. Next year, it's going to probably go down by another, that's 76, with salary increases, cost increases, plus decrease in revenue, $76,000 deficit now shoots up over 100. Your checkbook is gone. It's wiped out in 2 years.
Yeah, again, I don't think that the way the raises have been scheduled, I don't think that's not going to be every year like that. This is, from what this is just to get us up to industry standard and things of that nature. And
But we
But
did.
no,
the-
I
we did
hear
the-
what you're saying,
We
for
did
sure.
the salary. If you look at the budget last year, 2 years ago to last year, there was a bump because we did the salary adjustments for executive director and associate. We split, you know, those took place in the current year's budget. So,
yeah, and like I said, we did a bunch of researches on you know, the other local areas, their subscriber counts, their things that the grant that they get from Comcast and stuff, and we're still below that line. I mean, if you look at Somerville has about 1,500 less subscribers than us,
Yep.
and their staff is paid more than us. I don't know what their you know, day-to-day
we could
expenses
say that
are.
about our police and about our fire and about everybody else. It's not just
Correct.
SCTV is not a municipality, it's a nonprofit, so it's not linked to the community, it's linked to the subscribers.
Correct.
Right? But if you look at our police and do a salary analysis, and you look at our fire and do our DPW, our salaries are not ever top of scale. Yeah, we have good benefits and we have things like that, but if someone wants to make more money, every single position in this, every person, hopefully there are not many people listening, but any employee in this town can leave Saugus and go make more money elsewhere. Every single one. I hate to say it, but it's the truth.
You're probably, I'm not
I
sure.
am right.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, it's a fact. And same thing could be said at my firm. I have 380 employees at my firm. If they want a nickel and dime and go to another place and shop, They're going to get somebody who's going to offer them more money. The point of the matter is, I don't have an issue with your expenses.
Right.
You don't have the revenue to support the expenses. So you can't support the expenses if you don't have the revenue. That's my point. If this was a one-year thing, if you were saying, we need an extra $75,000 because we're paying for this software or this upgrade, if it was a one-time expenditure, we'd have a different conversation. But because this is ongoing, you're budgeting an ongoing deficit that's only going to get worse, not better.
Madam Chairman.
That's the problem.
Selectman Sereno?
Yeah, just, I mean, I've been calling this out along with Selectman Chicalini for the last 3 or 4 years. You don't have the revenue to support what you want to do here. I mean, your projected revenue is $390,000, and you gave us a budget of $435,000. We shouldn't even be having a discussion of where to cut or what to cut. I agree, expenses are expenses. They're going up. You have to look at your salaries. It's up to you to decide the direction of the cable TV and who you can afford and what you can pay for these employees, not the Board of Selectmen. I will not approve this budget. Thank you.
Madam Chair,
Selectman Riley?
thank you, through you. Did you ever get a finance or treasurer position? I don't seem to see it on here, or is it?
Our treasurer is right here presenting the budget. I'm the treasurer of the TV.
But you're on the board?
I am on the board, yes.
Right, okay.
And
'Cause
and the numbers that I have on the past years, since 2021, our revenue, what Comcast has been given to the station, is 406. I'm going to round it up. $460,000 in 2021, $455,000 in 2022, $471,000 in 2023, $456,000 in 2024, and $420,000 in 2025.
That includes
So-
capital, though. You're including capital money that you can't use for operating expenses. That includes, you just 30, 30, 30, 30, 30. That's 150,000.
That
I'm
shouldn't
just saying
even be
that that was the
included.
number when we were doing
But
the
that's
budget
not
as a
an-
town.
that's not an-
That was what given to us.
Okay, so
So based
unfortunately.
on.
Right, so now you got to take off the 30. And now, on each of those years. So now you're talking 400,000, 395, 411, 396, and 360. Those are big differences in those numbers when you take out the 30,000s out of them, because those numbers that you get just given, they look good, but 30,000 is restricted for capital investment, which is why you have the money in that kitty. The money's in that kitty because you haven't spent all the capital money that's accumulated over the years. That's the reason why there's $300,000 sitting there. It's not because you haven't spent it on operating, you haven't spent all the capital money. At one point, we had over $1 million, we had $1.5 million in there, but then we did the renovations and all that stuff, and we used up a large chunk of what was in the account.
The report that I have, what the TV has, it's a lot more than that.
It's a lot more.
If I may, it's about $900,000 in the account,
You're talking total funds.
available for Saugus TV.
Right, but you need a capital repairs account for that building now. You spent over $1 million in renovations. If you have $1 million in renovations, that's now what, 5 years, 6 years in? Eventually, you're gonna start needing capital repairs to that building. And you have to have a capital reserve. You can't just spend all that money. The money that's in there isn't going up, it's gonna go down. So you can't deficit spend knowing that you're gonna chip away and take your reserves down to zero.
And you are responsible for all of the capital improvements of that building, even though you share it with the Historical Society. That is part of your lease.
It's actually, I read the lease, and the lease, I don't know what the previous administration have done, but the lease specifically says it shares 50-50. If the town has already allowed the previous administration to pay for maintenance that was not on the lease, it was overseen by the town and the previous administrations of the TV. I read the agreement, and that is a share for the maintenance of the building in the agreement.
No. all capital repairs. I have a copy.
We can discuss that if, I don't have the agreement here with me, but I
The good news
discussed
is,
with the board
good news is
too.
there haven't been any capital repairs to the building yet. Number
They
one.
have a repair, there are some expenses that we're looking in the past administration that was approved, 100% be spent out of the account of the TV, which was not in the agreement.
I have no idea. It's not the.
Neither did I until I actually look at the numbers when I was given
I'm
the
telling
position
you,
of being.
The lease agreement that's in place right now between SCTV and the Historical Society, SCTV pays 100% of capital
No,
repairs to that
that's
building.
not what I read.
It's a factual statement.
I
Trust
think,
me.
I think at this point, it might be a good idea if we will continue this until our April 1st meeting, and whatever information you might need from us, perhaps you can reach out to us, because we're just going to go back and forth.
I agree.
Okay. Would any of the board members like to say something else before we make a motion?
Madam Chair,
Yes, Selectman Riley.
I'm going to rephrase my question. I knew you were the treasurer. However, when we're supposed to get quarterly reports from the board, from SCTV, who is responsible for writing those up and sending them out, was my question. It has to be an employee, correct?
Thank you. Well, what we're doing, I've been overseeing, it's just a few weeks ago. Go ahead.
Hi. So every month, we do a monthly report. We present that to our board. Every month, Maureen had been sending it over to the Board of Selectmen clerk's office. I had talked to Deb at some point. Those were not making its way to you guys. We went back and resent everything over to her. And we had also talked to you about doing the quarterly instead of the monthly. You wanted quarterly, so we changed that to quarterly.
Yes,
Okay.
because you're asking about Matt Pelletier's position,
Yes,
correct? So
exactly.
So Maureen took that piece of it over. When Selectman Riley and I came and because every 5 years we were renegotiating the agreement with the town. And in the agreement, it said every month you needed to give us all of the financials, and it was listed what we needed, cash flows and so forth, balance sheets, income statements. And at that point, we said, maybe that's a little too much every single month. Why don't you just push that back, all the detail back to once a quarter? But we would still, on a monthly basis, like to get updates and, what's going on. You put together the information anyway, the programming and so forth. Just send a copy over to the selectmen as well.
Definitely.
That is what we requested. And yes, it's true, Michelle, you and I had a long talk about how these reports weren't making their way over to the board. We did start seeing a few different reports come in, but perhaps we should sit down again and talk about exactly what it is that the Board of Selectmen would like to see.
It is definitely, it is our, in our minutes every time, so we can always send our minutes over to your office, to the clerk's office, as well. Because
That would be good, because we do receive minutes from other committees and commissions, and as I mentioned before, it's the selectmen's responsibility, working with Comcast, to come up with the agreement for the town. The selectmen usurp our authority by creating this SCTV board for you to handle all of everything that has to do with the SCTV, but there is an agreement where things have to go back and forth and be approved upon. In fact, if we didn't ask you to go back and take a look when you went in front of the Finance Committee or town meeting, these questions are just going to come up. So it's best to get everything cleared up right here, and then when you go to the other committees or boards, that everything can be, dot your i's, cross your t's, and you'll know what the questions are going to be beforehand.
So I will definitely make sure that you guys get a copy, that Meredith gets a copy to send to all of you guys at the end of when our board of directors approve the minutes from the previous meeting.
Perfect.
Madam Chairman, just to add
Yes,
to
of
that,
course.
I think under the agreement, the selectmen had put in that agreement that the finance director is supposed to get copies of that. I don't think she's received any of those.
Oh, so Wendy Hatch hasn't been receiving a copy either?
Not that
Okay.
I'm aware of.
I think, perhaps either Selectman Rowley and myself can come back and we'll review it again, or one of the other, two of us because we can't have more than two, it would have to be three, or would be violating the open meeting law, but two of us perhaps should come to one of your meetings, along with, I have every agreement. I probably have this much in agreements and all of my notes from over the years. So if you would like to schedule something with the board, we can do that, either before or after the budget. But it is important that you go back and take a look at the revenue coming in, and listen to what the board members have to say. I'm not going to reiterate everything, but that is important.
Madam Chair.
Of course, Selectman
Just
Chicalini.
in closing, to your point, I think where we were getting off on the 50/50, 50/50 is, I have a copy of the lease. 50/50 is anything that falls outside of your specific area and the Historical Society specific area. So if your heating system goes, you pay 100%. If your air conditioning goes, you pay 100%. Anything in yours is specific. Routine maintenance, repairs, alterations, and equipment upgrades are all paid individually. 50/50 for routine maintenance and alterations to common areas. And the parties will evenly split the cost of structural repairs or alterations. So if something specific to your SCTV property, the heating system, the electrical system, things like that, that need windows, that's specific to your property, you're responsible for. They're responsible for their side of the house. And then if it's the roof, it would be split.
Correct.
So that's what, yeah.
We
So I
have
think-
instance where we paid 100% for the roof before, and that was what was reported, that we had expense that was supposed to be splitted, and that is another section moving forward on that same paragraph that you're reading, about a 90 and 10%. The TV would be responsible for 90%, and the owner of the building would be responsible for 10%.
10%.
As well.
Yeah.
But I appreciate, Madam Chair, the opportunity to join some of the board members to discuss further the budget and also what we're doing with the TV. So I appreciate that, and I welcome. We will see when the board would be available to meet with us. Thank you.
So it'll be two members of the board coming to one of your meetings. Maybe
Please.
Selectman Chicalini, if you're
I can't
available.
guarantee that I have time.
We'll figure it out.
Thank you.
But, so would somebody like to make a motion to continue this to our
moved,
April
Madam
1st
Chairman.
meeting? And seconded by the chair. Discussion, seeing none. All those in favor of Selectman Cogliano's motion, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
It's time for our public hearings. Notice is hereby given that the Saugus Board of Selectmen will conduct a public hearing on the application of Aggregate Industries, Inc., 1831 Broadway, Saugus, Mass., to extend a special permit S2 to allow the removal of earth and rock and for the operation of a quarry at 1731 Rear Broadway, Assessors Map, Block, Lot Number C6-1-16, Old Plan Number 2030, Old Lot Number 61, and Whittier Avenue, Map, Block, Lot Number C6-1-21, Old Plan Number 2031, Old Lot Number A-122, for a period of 6 months. This hearing will be held in the Saugus Town Hall Auditorium, second floor, 298 Central Street. Hi.
Madam Chair, members of the board, for the
Good
record.
evening.
Good evening. For the record, Attorney Richard Magnan, Office 194 Central Street here in Saugus, representing Aggregate in this semi-annual request for an extension of the special permit that has been in place for many, many years. I spoke with Jared Temple, the regional manager, yesterday regarding the situation with blasting. They had a minor blast, which preserves their grandfathered protection in May. They don't anticipate another blast. Again, it would be a minor blast until 2026. There have been meetings of the post-closure committee. I think Selectman Serino would be familiar with that. There was one on February 3rd. There's another one scheduled for May 5th, I believe. And discussions are going on about the post-closure and in conjunction with the master plan. Other than that, if any approval of the extension was voted, it would be subject to the usual 31 conditions that have been in place since like 1998. So, and with that, that's basically the report, which, again, the board is very familiar with this application.
Madam Chairman?
Yes, Selectman
Just to
Serino.
speak on the committees, we did meet about a month ago. We meet May 5th. There wasn't much progress in filling in the landfill over the last 3 or 4 months. It's been pretty slow. It's about 40% filled. This is for the people at home. And we did have a engineering firm in to discuss what opportunities for development that we were going to have on the property, whether it be shopping centers, grocery stores, and it'd be all commercial, no residential, and that's what our May 5th meeting's going to be about. And if anybody's interested, it'll be posted, and we'll be down in the conference room for that. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have a date on when we think it will be finished?
They predicted about 15 years, but it's a hard prediction because you don't know the construction industry, how busy it's going to be, you know, how much fill we're going to get in. So but they did estimate about 15 years. I think we're about six years into it, and we're 40% filled, so that could be a good estimate.
And just a general question for board members as well as you, Attorney Magnan. Has there been any concern regarding trucking up and down Lincoln Ave, or have you heard anything?
I obviously asked that question since it has been posed many times before, and Mr. Temple said he had not been aware of any complaints at this point during this term, since our last appearance.
Okay. Any other questions?
Nope.
Any other
I
questions?
haven't heard anything recently.
This is a public hearing. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak either in favor or opposed to this application? If you could please give your name and address, it would be appreciated. Thank you.
Michael Galeone, 5 Ballard Street. About the trucks from Aggregate, the last couple of weeks, we've had them coming up Ballard Street, making the turn to go on Lincoln Ave. I didn't catch any of the truckers' names, but as they came up Ballard Street, I don't know why they do it, they're coming uphill and they're hitting their Jake brakes. At 7:30 in the morning, we don't need to hear Jake brakes on Ballard Street. The idea to this is we're going to say we got to give them the names of the trucks. We shouldn't have to. Let them do the running instead of the townspeople doing all this running. Either that, or every time they get caught, let's fine them. But this is getting to the point where you've got tractor trailers, trash trucks, and other vehicles that are going down Ballard Street that shouldn't be. I'm going to ask this question one more time. Why can't the town put an overweight limit on Ballard Street, which means a tractor trailer with no overweight permit can only carry 80,000 pounds. There's a sign down there for the bridge that you can't go over that bridge. How many times have we seen trucks going over that bridge and no one enforces it? The other day we had a medical waste try to make the turn from Lincoln Ave to Ballard Street to go down the street. He's not even supposed to be on the street. So it's about time the town looked into it, called in the DOT or whatever, but it's time for this town to crack down on the trucking. I mean, it's stupid. UPS, a matter of fact, Mr. Cogliano, Mr. Ciccolini, when UPS was coming in, they stressed, oh, they won't do it, they won't do it. Within 3-4 days, I've caught one tractor trailer pulled over to the side of Ballard Street waiting to get up the street because there was an accident. I understand that Article 14 they have on their to-do list or whatever, 10,000-pound trucks will not come up Ballard Street. How many times do you, and who do you call? Because I tell you right now, I call Mr. Cogliano.
Never called me.
Hold on,
Okay.
Mr. Cogliano.
Go right ahead.
I called into the Selectmen's Board to give Mr. Cogliano a message and Mr. Ciccolini a message. That was on the 16th, and I'm still waiting for the phone call.
I'll give you my number when you leave.
I don't want your number, because I want to know, when I see these vehicles, who am I going to call? I'm going to call you.
We put a restriction on it, Muggsy.
How about, I think it was an injunction? We can file for an injunction?
There's an attorney behind you, ask him.
I mean, it was put down in the paperwork.
What,
So my understanding, Madam Chair, just...
sure, Mr.
So my
Selectman
understanding
Ciccolini.
when we approved it, we put the specific restrictions on there. They agreed for camera monitoring.
Which they don't have. On their building down there, they were supposed to put them up on Ballard Street. They haven't.
So we can refer
A
that-
matter of fact,
We can refer-
today,
we
at
could-
4:30, there was a six-wheeler that made the turn from Lincoln Ave onto Ballard Street, UPS truck, that was going down.
Can I just finish what I was saying, please?
Go ahead.
This is the first time since UPS has opened up that I've heard anybody say UPS is using Ballard Street.
Well,
I have
you
never.
better
I've
open
ne-
your ears,
Have I ever?
because
Have I
I've
ever?
called this
Hold
in.
on. I
Go ahead.
listen to you. Can you just? I've never spoken to you on the phone about this. I've never received a message or a phone call to call you back.
Well, then let's talk to your secretary over there.
Well, she's new. Meredith's new. She's new to the office, so it was Janice before her. But the point of the matter is, this is the first time I am hearing, I don't want to speak for my fellow board members, this is the first time I'm hearing UPS using Ballard Street. Has any board member heard anything about UPS using Ballard Street?
Tractor trailer truck?
UPS trucks.
Just regular trucks.
Tractor trailer, I seen one.
UPS
That was about-
tractor trailers. So I haven't heard it, have you?
No.
I haven't, so now, if that's the case, the next order of business is for us to, through the town manager's office and the police chief, they'll contact the management of UPS and tell them, one, we've been notified that there have been instances where UPS trucks over 10,000 pounds have gone on Ballard Street. This is your first warning. Two, I'd like to find out what the status of, Mr. Manager, what the status of the camera that they agreed to incur the cost of, that will have monitoring on that facility. I was not aware. I assume they're probably waiting until the bridge project was somewhat rectified because it's a mess down there. But
Why are we waiting
I would
for
just,
them
I'm
to
sorry,
put-
just one thing, Madam Chair, through you, I would suggest if Selectman Sereno or this gentleman here sees a tractor trailer, they should contact the police so we can document it.
Yeah.
Because you're gonna
I
need that
agree.
evidence.
I have,
I've had.
I have one picture in my phone of this tractor trailer
Yeah.
going up Ballard Street.
I'm not saying it didn't
After
I'm
he
not-
sat there for 10 minutes at an idle with the truck idling.
Okay, I'm not saying that didn't happen, but for us to help, people have come before us and said that they're using Ballard Street and that they're, using Dudley Street. And we do our best. We try to see if it's an aggregate thing, and we'll reach out to aggregate and get a list of their contractors. If it's UPS, we have the ability to enforce the conditions we put in the S2 permit. So we need proof. So
How
the
much proof do you need? If I show you pictures tonight, is that enough proof?
Yeah. So that's an important start. But you're just telling us about this tonight. So we
Who
give
do
us
you-
some time to act on it.
I've called many a times.
I've never spoken to you.
That's right, because I've called the Selectmen's Board, left a message with your secretary. I've called the town manager. to get back to me. Never got back to me. So you tell me who I call.
I'll give you my number. You can call me
I
anytime.
don't want your number.
Well, then don't
I
complain.
want something done. I
Okay.
mean, I'm gonna call you
But
every
isn't
time.
isn't it easier to call us directly than to have to call through the, what if it happens at 7 o'clock at night and there's nobody in the selectmen's office?
Mr. Gliona? I think we're a little off of aggregate, because we were...
Well, aggregate,
Because
they're no better.
Yeah, we're trying to
Well,
do
we can't
have the hearing, these are discussions about aggregate. We're going to go forward with, we will contact UPS, tell them that about their trucking, because there are restrictions, and we'll work through the town manager's office regarding the camera monitoring on UPS.
I definitely,
I'd like to
Madam
see-
Chair, I would
Yes.
definitely suggest, though, because it's about documentation, because then you're able to have sort of a show cause if you needed to, or to call them into the meeting, is if there's tractor trailers and people are aware of the neighbors, I would definitely advise them to contact the police, not the selectman's office, so that the police can then document that they're down
I
there.
also remember recently, there was a big accident on 107, and they were deterring traffic all down Ballard
Yeah.
Street. So in a
You're gonna
situation...
take my number, or you're just gonna complain?
I don't want your number.
I don't want your
Leave
camera.
tractor
Yeah, good.
trailer.
Good.
All right, that's the way the town company. That's all I wanted to know.
Okay.
So when I start calling and asking for the injunction that they have on number 14, the article, the paperwork that they said they wouldn't do, I think it was number 14, said no trucks over 10,000 pounds, I can call the Saugus Police and have them issue a citation. The same thing with aggregate.
Yeah, no, I think the thing would be that you'd have the police document that that's occurring. It's the selectmen are the ones that have the authority over the conditions that have been imposed on their approval for the S2.
So when we put quite a few conditions on,
Right.
if they aren't complying with those restrictions, we can have them come back here and have a show cause hearing.
Who would you call back here? The guy
The
Mark,
management. Management.
well, the guy that said it was Mark, he was the area manager for New England.
Yeah. Whoever's, the decision makers would be the ones we
Right.
call.
Now, he swore up and down, they wouldn't be
So-
out there.
so my-
Same thing as
But
aggregate.
they've been
It's-
open for how long? 4 years? 5 years? 4 or 5 years. So if you're telling me that there was one instance that you're aware of, right?
No.
For
I'm
UPS?
telling you, there's 4 or 5 instances.
Okay. All right.
Tractor trailers coming up, 6-wheelers going up and down.
UPS. UPS. All
I
UPS.
even have a UPS truck that had Enterprise on the side of it. Enterprise, and then they put the metal signs on the doors going down Ballard Street.
Okay.
I mean, you guys want plate numbers, you want numbers. You can't get them off the UPS trucks because they're so small and they're so long. I mean,
Madam
you're
Chairman.
at a,
Selectman Claudiano?
Just one point I'd like to make. So if you see a truck come up Ballard Street, and you notify the police, or you notify the manager, or notify someone on the board, we can find out from the police whether or not the bridge is closed, and they had to make that turn. If we're talking 4 instances in 4 years,
at 10 o'clock at night, the bridge is closed. They haven't been doing night work down there in years, okay?
I don't know what
It's
time
the
it was. I mean, you
it's
came,
the
let me just finish. I listened to you for a half an hour, okay? You came in and said, first thing you did, you said, you called me, you didn't, okay? I offered you my number to call me, and you don't
I
even want to take
called your
it. So, you know what?
secretary.
Let's move along.
And your secretary said, yeah, I can get a message to you. You and Mr. Ciccolini.
Okay.
Ask your secretary, am
Miss-
I right?
Mr.
On the
Gliona,
16th.
she doesn't have her records in front of her. We'll follow up on the UPS issue.
And it's the same thing with aggregate. You wouldn't have this problem if aggregate paid them truckers an hourly pay, hourly wage.
Yeah, there's nothing more, there's nothing we can do with that.
Was
Thank
it,
you.
But-
was it
but thank
Sunday,
you.
the 16th that he
That's
called?
why they have to do 5
Sunday the
loads to
16th?
make any type of money.
Sorry?
Was it Sunday, the 16th that he called?
Friday and then the Monday.
Okay. The 16th is Sunday, just what, because I was just talking to Laura.
Yeah. So the other thing that I'm concerned about is our selectman's office is not open all hours. We'd rather you contact us when it happens so that we can act at that
I
time.
did.
But she-
Friday
I mean,
night
she
at
don't have the-
10:30,
she
who
don't-
am I gonna call?
But if she has my home phone number, that's not going to guarantee that you get, if he's offering you his cell phone, you could pick up the phone and get a hold
And
of
then
us.
I call him, and what's he gonna do?
I'm going to call the police.
Call the police chief.
How many times you gonna call the police? I've
All right,
called the
Madam
police chief
Chairman,
Call as
on
many times as you
aggregate.
can.
I've called them on the dump trucks,
Miss-
the six-wheelers, the 10-wheelers,
Call the town meeting
rubbish
member from your
trucks.
precinct, right down the street.
That's the attitude this board has, to tuck it to the people down in East Saugus. Fine. Thank you very much for your time.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
I'm sorry.
Definitely need a recess now.
One question, are we still in contract negotiation with Wynn?
Contract negotiation. I'm not, I don't know what you mean. Are we in contract negotiations with when?
What they call, what we're paying for tonnage to be done.
Yes.
We're still in a contract.
Can we put in this contract?
We really need to get back to his aggregate. Could you contact me afterwards?
Oh, no. Mr. Magnan, yes.
Mr. Mack,
Yes.
Carliano Street. I'll wait.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm sorry. So I asked if, so I said this was this was a public meeting. Would anybody like to speak in favor or opposed? He was, the previous speaker was concerned about trucking on Ballard Street to aggregate. If you could just follow up and just see if there were any issues or tell them there was a report of an issue at tonight's meeting?
Certainly.
Great, thank you. With that said, would somebody like to make a motion?
Madam
Madam
Chairman, I make a motion, we close the public hearing.
That's seconded by the chair. Is there further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of Selectman Sereno's motion, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Selectman Sereno.
Madam Chairman, I make a motion, we grant the S2 permit extension for 6 months with the same standard 30 conditions that are on the list.
31.
Conditions.
31.
Oh, 31, okay.
And that's seconded by the chair. Is there further discussion? Seeing none, roll call, please, Meredith. Meredith? Roll call, please.
Yes.
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 Yes. Motion carries 5-0. Thank you.
Madam Chairman,
I think that's an old one. Yes,
we
Selectman.
have a 2-minute recess.
Seconded by the chair.
Thank you very much. to the
Further
board.
discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of Selectman Cogliano's motion, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0. Thank you. Good evening. We are now back in session. This is our second public hearing for the evening. Notice is hereby given that the Saugus Board of Selectmen will conduct a public hearing on the request of Donato's Catering LLC, doing business as K-Trina's Tequila, for a common victuals license to operate K-Trina's Tequila,
Taqueria.
Thank you. 44 Hamilton Street, Saugus, Mass. 01906, Saugus, Mass. 01906. It's on there twice. And this public hearing will be held in the Saugus Town Hall Auditorium, second floor, 298 Central Street, on March 18th. Good evening. Could we please have your name and address?
Christian Surian, 32 Vernon Street, Malden.
Thank you. And can you tell us a little bit about your business, please?
Yep, so I'm here representing Donaldo Hernandez. He couldn't make it tonight. He's the business owner, but he's has a lot of experience in the food business. He owns a catering company that caters to elderly homes and a lot of rehab centers. He used to do the one here in Hamilton Street on 163, the previous rehab center. So he wants to take all those recipes and experience and then do something more for like the average consumer that comes by.
Could you do me a favor? Can you talk more into the microphone? I'm just having a little trouble hearing you. Thank you.
The better?
So
Okay.
it looks like you want the hours of operation to be 10 a.m. to 11 p.m., 7 days a week. Is that correct?
Correct, yeah.
And 14 seats.
Yes, 14 seats.
Yeah, I went by, and he actually let me in over the weekend. I was going to Dunk's next door, and I was looking in because the number of seats wasn't on there, but he let me in. It looks really nice inside.
Thank you, yeah.
If the board votes on this tonight, when will you be open?
As soon as possible. We still have to deal with the health department to get
Okay.
our health permit, but hopefully soon. We're trying to get open quick.
Thank you. Do board members have any questions?
Madam Chair?
Selectman Ciccolini?
I'm just wondering, all I saw on the layout was 3 booths, and they look like they're 4-person booths. So I would think that the 12 seats, where's the other 2?
So the previous, when Dragon Island had it, he had, right at the entrance, he had like a glass L-shaped separator that goes out to the dining room. That was removed to make it a little more wider. And he's going to put a single table of 2 to make it bigger, to get to the 14.
He actually has seats on the windowsill. So I went in, I counted, there's actually 14 seats, and there's 3 here, and 3 here, and the 2 booths. So there's plenty of, there's 14 seats in there.
This is inaccurate, what's here? This shows 3 booths in a row.
There aren't 3 booths in there.
Okay, all right. So, just, it doesn't have to be a condition, but I would like an updated plan just sent into our office so we have it in our files.
Okay, we can
The
have it
plan
in-
that we have with the application
Yep.
only shows 12. If we're going to approve 14, we should have 14 on the plan.
Okay, we can get that in tomorrow.
That's all I had, Madam Chair.
Any other questions? Seeing none, this is a public hearing. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak either in favor or opposed to this application? Seeing none, what are the wishes of the board?
Madam Chair,
Selectman
make a
Ciccolini.
motion to close the public hearing.
And that is seconded by the chair. Is there further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of Selectman Ciccolini's motion, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Selectman Ciccolini.
Madam Chair, I'll make
Good luck.
Thank you.
One more
No,
thing.
Not done yet.
hold
Oh,
on.
not done yet.
That was just closing the hearing.
Still good luck.
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion that we grant the request of Donaldo's Catering LLC, doing business as Katrina's Taqueria?
Taqueria.
Taqueria.
Yeah.
For a common victuals license to operate Katrina's, 44 Hamilton Street, Saugus, Mass. The hours of operation will be 10 a.m. to 11 p.m., 7 days a week. It'll be for a total of 14 seats, and they must comply with the health rules and regulations and pending a life safety walkthrough. I also would like them to send a revised seating plan to the board for our files.
And that is seconded by the chair. Is there further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of Selectman Ciccolini's motion, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed?
And good luck.
Motion carries 5-0. Thank you very much for
Good
coming,
luck.
and good luck to you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Good evening.
The next item on the agenda is new business. We have the Student Government Day proclamation. Would somebody like to read that? If not, I'll read it.
I'll read it, Madam Chair.
Selectman Ciccolini, thank you.
Saugus Student Government Day. Whereas the mission of the Saugus Public Schools is to educate, challenge, and empower students to be lifelong learners and to achieve excellence with integrity in the 21st century as productive, caring, and contributing members of society. Whereas Saugus High School is a comprehensive learning institution whose mission is to prepare students to be responsible, thoughtful, and effective global citizens. Whereas Saugus High School is committed to providing a learning environment that encourages students to become actively involved in the learning process and fosters risk-taking and creativity and problem-solving. Whereas Saugus High School's ultimate purpose is to produce students who have the knowledge base and intellectual curiosity to become productive, ethical, and informed citizens of the 21st century. And whereas Saugus High School expects students to demonstrate an understanding of civic responsibility, communicate ideas and information with clarity and understanding of audience, and to be able to analyze and evaluate information. Therefore, the Board of Selectmen, after consultation with the Superintendent of Schools, is hereby authorized to proclaim May 1st, 2025 as Saugus Student Government Day. Said proclamation will allow for planning and implementation of events through a collaborative process inclusive of school and town officials or their designees that will simulate as close as practicable the legislative, executive, and administrative functions of Saugus Town Government. Signed on March 18th, 2025.
And that is seconded by the chair. Is there further discussion? I'll just say that I'm really looking forward to Student Government Day this year, and the plans are moving along. All those in favor of the motion made by Selectman Ciccolini, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you all. Next, we have the 2025 proclamation for Arbor Day. Would anybody like to read that?
Madam Chairman.
Selectman Cogliano.
Town of Saugus, Massachusetts, Proclamation 2025 for Arbor Day. Whereas the legislators of the Great and General Court of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts have adopted an act regarding the designation of Arbor Day throughout the Commonwealth, and whereas the purpose of the designation of Arbor Day throughout the nation is to encourage the planting of shade of forest trees, to encourage the harvesting of forest crops by approved conservation methods, and to encourage the protection of our forests from scourge of devastating fires, insects, diseases that destroy the beauty and usefulness of our woodlands, as well as their wildlife. And whereas trees can reduce the erosion of our precious topsoil by wind and water, cutting heat and cooling costs, moderate the temperature, produce oxygen, clean the air, and provide habitat for wildlife. And whereas trees, wherever they are planted, are a source of joy and spiritual renewal and provide an enduring heritage to our succeeding generations. Now therefore, we, the Selectmen of the Town of Saugus, do hereby, April 25th, 2025, proclaim Arbor Day in the Town of Saugus and urge all our citizens to celebrate Arbor Day and to support efforts to protect our trees and woodlands. And further, we urge the citizens to plant trees to gladden the heart and promote the well-being of this and future generations. In witness thereof, we have hereunto set our hands on the 18th day of March 2025, signed the Saugus Board of Selectmen.
Thank you, Selectman Cogliano. That's seconded by the chair. Is there further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of Selectman Cogliano's motion, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. And Meredith, could you please make sure that Nancy Pragg gets a signed copy of the proclamation for Arbor Day? And can you send over to the school committee the Saugus Student Government Day proclamation, please? Thank you very much. Next item on the agenda is the town manager's report. Mrs. Town Manager.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Just a couple of updates and announcements for the public. The Riverside Cemetery spring cleanup is to begin on April 1st, 2025. We do this every year, so hopefully the residents and people that visit there know that the grounds in the spring have a cleanup and begins again on Tuesday, April 1st. The Cemetery Commission is kindly asking members of the public to remove any personal items, holiday items, or seasonal items from the grounds before the cleanup begins. All veterans' flags will be placed back on grave sites on Friday, May 23rd, 2025 at 3 p.m. prior to Memorial Day. If you need more information, please contact the Cemetery Department at 781-231-4170. And so hopefully people can help assist in that. They're pretty good with it each year so that we can get the grounds cleaned up for the warm weather. Also, just another reminder, we'll keep reminding everybody, that they should be receiving, if they haven't already, mailings to schedule appointments to replace your water meter, and that's a mandatory replacement. The Saugus Department of Public Works, alerting residents that they will soon, if not already, receive mailings to schedule appointments for a free water meter replacement as part of the project that will upgrade the town's water metering technology to enhance customer service and provide customers with more ways to manage water use, all while improving operational efficiency and environmental stewardship. So it's no cost to the residents, and they've already started. We've done some of the town buildings, and this is a project that'll go on for the next year and a half to 2 years. So just another reminder for that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Town Manager. Do any board members have any questions for the Town Manager?
Madam Chair,
Selectman Riley?
through you to the town manager. I just had been asked about the time capsule items, where it is, and I know you were going to look to see, I don't know who you were going to give them to.
Yeah, there's a historical company that's doing some, whatever they do to try to preserve them.
Preservation.
Yeah, so then hopefully we can have some sort of a public display. We're talking about maybe doing something at the library.
Perhaps at the library. Do you know how long it would be before people can actually see?
I'll look into it. It's been a little bit. I know they had them, and they were like, they had put up, proposals, and there's certain things we went forward with. I can look into it. It's been a little bit, so.
Yeah, okay. And the second thing I want to thank you, I'm not exactly sure who fixed the light up in Golden Hills, but
Oh, yeah.
they were appreciative that it was fixed. So.
Yeah, I went up there myself because I think they were having trouble trying to find it because it's on a corner
it's
of two
weird.
things and it's into the woods. So I went up myself, took pictures of the signs and then described it so that they could get up there. I think it took them a couple of weeks to get up there, but after we said it already
Yep.
the second time, so you're welcome.
Yeah, thank you. That's it. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. I want to thank you, Mr. Town Manager, and our DPW for replacing some of the tattered American flags around town.
Sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think with the winds and stuff, it's just hard. They do inspections once a month, but sometimes the social media, I think, is quicker at getting that information out. So we do the best we can. But with the high winds and all that, especially any flags that are down by the water, they seem to be get tattered pretty quickly.
No, understandable. We do live in New England, so, but thank you.
If I know about it, then we can take care of it. So thank you for letting me know.
The next item on the agenda is the approval of minutes. First, we have the February 6, 2025 minutes. Would somebody like to make a motion to approve those?
So moved, Madam Chair.
And that's seconded by the chair. Is there further discussion?
Madam Chair,
Selectman Chicalini?
couple quick edits.
Sure.
Page 2, under the water meter replacement project. That should be using the ARPA money, not ARPA, ARPA. And then under Town Hall and Senior Center, generators for both Town Hall and Senior Center were approved by town meeting and have been installed and tested.
Is that it?
That's all I had.
Great. So did you make a motion? Okay, you made the motion.
Actually, Selectman Riley did.
Okay, thank you. So Selectman Riley made the motion. I seconded it with the corrections. All those in favor of Selectman Riley's motion with Selectman Chicalini's corrections, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you all. Next, we have an appointment of William Pizzullo.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
March 4th.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
We also have the March 4th, 2025 minutes to approve. Would somebody please make a motion to approve those minutes?
So moved.
And that's seconded by the chair. Is there further corrections, updates? Seeing none. All those in favor of Selectman Riley's motion, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
One abstention, Meredith, I wasn't there. Thank you.
Thank you. So 4 in favor and 1 abstention. Now it's time for appointments. William Pizzullo, he's regarding a request for reappointment as constable. If the board would like to reappoint him. His appointment would go until December 31st, 2027.
I'll offer that motion, Madam Chairman.
And that's seconded by the chair. Is there further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of Selectman Cogliano's motion, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you all. It is now time for our second citizens' comments of the evening. Would anyone in the audience like to address the board?
I have one more question. We are in negotiations for where we're gonna pay tonnage on our trash. I'd like to see in that contract that there is no trucks allowed on Ballard Street unless they are Saugus trucks. And I don't care if they gotta pick up the dumpster on Chestnut Street at the nursing home. Let them go all the way around. Because Wynn isn't doing anything for us. And it's about time the town did something. I've asked the town, and I'll ask it again. There's a sign on Ballard Street for that bridge that you can't go over any more than 80,000 pounds or 40 ton. I'd like to see that sign put up at the top of Ballard Street, which means now all these overweight trucks, tractor trailers, dump trucks, anything that has a square little patch on the window up top is an overweight permit. It says on that overweight permit the amount of gross vehicle weight. If it's over 80,000, citation. I mean, you don't have to be a brain surgeon to figure that out. But once again, we don't have police officers that know these rules. I've asked to have the truck team come in. No response. You know, you guys say, oh, we're for the people, you know, when that UPS is going in, two of them selectmen wanted it.
We already talked about that, Mr. Gliona. We're
Okay,
going to
well,
try to handle that, okay?
Nicest thing in East Saugus. It's the nicest building in East Saugus.
Say that again?
You heard me.
I didn't.
He
I
said
said it's the nicest
nicest-
building in East Saugus. Looks better than the dump that was there.
That's what you say.
That's my opinion.
You're entitled to your
Thank you.
opinion. Now, my opinion is, we never seen so many little Buster Brown trucks flying up and down Ballard Street doing 35, 40 miles an hour.
But we're going to follow up on that.
Follow up, I just try to show,
On the UPS, right?
Right.
There were two things that the board said they were going to do.
because it says that, and this is from you, Mr. Cogliano.
Mr. Gliona, please.
Oh, Mr. Gliano, just to shut me up, okay? Now the town knows what this board's all about. Let's push everything down into East Saugus, and don't say no, Mrs. Panetta, because right off the bat, I'll start with Stalker Playground and how everybody said, oh, we're not gonna make that a dog park, and we're still pushing for it. Thank you.
Nice to see you, Mike.
Hi, I am a direct abutter to the Stalker Park property, and I have some questions.
Barbara, could you please give your name and
Sure.
address, please, for our records?
It's Barbara Dewsnap, and do you want my address?
Please.
It's 15 Riverside Court. I'm at the corner of Riverside and Stalker.
Thank you.
All right. And I need some clarification here. I'm new to it. I'm actually an absentee abutter because I had a fire at my property, so I was displaced and was living in Danvers for a while and just recently returned to this. So there appears to be, I'll start with Town Council Vassipoli's letter of opinion. I just want clarification. He sent this letter to the address of the Saugus Dog Park Committee, and I'm unsure, is there actually a Saugus Dog Park Committee here in the town right now for this, the
I'm
February
happy,
10th,
even though this is
2025?
citizens' comments, we're not supposed to go back and forth, but I'm fine to go back and forth.
Well,
I just want to let you know, we
clarification, if
did,
there is such a, is that
there
who we
was a
should make
dog
our-
park committee established in like
our,
2020 or
comments to?
2021, which included myself, I was one of the people who volunteered to step up, and a couple of town meeting members that are not on town meeting now. Now there's one who still is on town meeting, and a couple of community members. We had requested a legal opinion on the Frederick Stalker.
Okay, and so this letter is dated the 25th, so
Yeah, we got an
It's-
email response prior to, but that was just a formality, so we had something because there was
all
a
right.
court case or
Is that
something.
also on the, is that on the town website also? The
What?
prior to the dog, the prior answer from Mr. Vespoli?
Yeah.
Say this is dated the 20th.
Well, it's not on the town's website, because the
All right.
dog park committee,
Well, I would like clarification, I'd like Mr. Vespoli to clarify his letter of opinion, because he states in here that the restriction required this property to be used solely as a playground in perpetuity as the deed in 1930, but I've got the deed for 1930, and it is not a restriction, it's a condition. The restriction comes in book 3997, page 256 of the Essex, which restricts the use of alcohol at the park. So, what is the restriction that allows a dog park to be put in the property of a playground in perpetuity that the deeds don't change? They don't change. And it's made into two properties, and who owns the property, because I have to go to the land court because I wasn't able to pull the deed out. But it was deeded to the East Saugus Improvement Association in 1953 by the town of Saugus. And so does the town of Saugus own the property in what capacity?
so
And
these
so
are
I
all,
need
these
these
are all.
clarifications. Well, that's what I'm saying, because he does not make reference to this
So
deed.
just to let you know,
for
the
the
Board of Selectmen
restriction.
has nothing to do with the
But-
dog park. It's,
But you are going to, but who's making the, well, that's what I'm saying, who's going to make the final, how does the decision get made? Is it
That's
this
a-
park committee?
if you have a question, I mean, you could definitely ask the question of town
But that-
council send him an email and ask your questions.
Well, that's why I'm looking for the clarification, because how is this happening? Because this letter was sent to the Saugus Dog Park Committee. And now there is no Saugus Dog Park Committee.
No, it's defunct. I mean, all we did was looked at the parcels that were available.
But this opinion's being used, and it doesn't provide all the information of the
Yeah, so you'd have
deeds
to, I would ask
and the
town
restriction,
council.
which is for alcohol at 22 Stalker,
Yeah, so I would,
and which is part of the Stalker Playground. And if that's true, how are you using this park if this
Yeah.
is 22 and this is the park and it's a playground? And a playground is the definition used for the Parks Department, and the playground is a outside area for the use of children, period.
so you'd have to talk to town council about that.
So
That was his legal
now,
opinion.
there's a Concom meeting tomorrow, review, so I would have to ask them to stop,
No,
to not
noth-
make a decision or an
Nothing that
opinion
they,
until
conservation
this
is only dealing
is-
with.
Till this is
No,
reviewed, these
no.
deeds?
Conservation's going to move forward with their responsibilities, which only has to do with the wetlands and things like that. They don't have any jurisdiction over
Right, but,
legalities
okay,
and
but they're
stuff.
moving forward on the presumption that a dog park will be placed
Yeah.
on Stalker Playground property.
Correct.
That-
And if it's
That a deed says that it's, all deeds say it's in perpetuity, and the only restriction is for alcohol.
Yeah, so,
Okay.
I don't know, Mr. Manager.
And
if
we're
you
not
have any
going to get,
comments.
and we're not going to have Town Council Vasapoli review this, and review this.
I think that it's already in legal matter now, so I think that
Yeah.
you know, they.
Yeah, because there was it was brought to court already.
It was by
Yeah.
citizens or by,
It's our understanding there's some
There's-
legalities
there's
with
leg-
the neighbors, but the Board of Selectmen don't make a decision on the dog park. As residents, we might go to the site review, go to the Conservation Commission meetings and what have you, just so that we understand what's going on, but we don't make any decisions. This does not fall under us. So I would recommend you go in, as Selectman Ciccolini said, if you have questions regarding what our town council said, John Vassapoli, to contact him directly.
all right, but is the town, so who will have the final say on the dog park then? If, this is what I'm trying to say, if I have to, I'll reach out to town council Vassapoli, but who actually is going to finalize if the park is going to be used for a dog park? Who is that going to be? The committee for the dog park?
No.
The town manager, the board?
Nothing
Who
to do with the Board of
finalizes-
Selectmen. The committee is defunct. There is no committee.
Okay,
So any capital improvements in this town go through a process. The town manager has oversight over renovations and upkeep and making sure that things are done correctly. He moved forward with the location that was identified from the Dog Park Committee as would meet the needs of the Stanton Foundation grant.
so this started from so in 2022, the park committee, from opinion I got from Mr. Vassapoli that is not here, was an email. And it was it based on the same,
Yeah.
okay, and
So our question was, would a dog park change the use of Stalker Playground as being a playground? And the answer was no, it would not change it.
but the definition of a playground is an outside
What
area for
definition?
children.
What definition?
It's the definition of a playground. It's
From like Webster's Dictionary?
from Webster's,
You're,
from
you're dealing with a
Parks.
legal opinion versus Webster's Dictionary. That's why when
It's-
it goes to
but-
court, let's see what
but-
if the
But
courts
a
say.
definition is a definition.
So if the
because-
court, well,
because
all right, so
what-
the
so what
judge
you're
also
saying is
said,
if I go to
wait a
the-
minute, the judge also
if I
said that
go
the
to
transfer
if I go
said.
to Commonwealth of Massachusetts-
Barbara?
Can I,
Ms.
can I?
Mr.
ask
Jusnap,
them-
please let
but
Selectman
he-
Ciccolini
all
finish
right.
his sentence.
So if
So
I
the-
get you a
Mrs.
definition
Jusap,
from the
please let him
government-
finish his sentence.
If I get you a definition from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts on parks and playgrounds, and they give me a definition that states what it is, that will suffice.
It's not, no, it won't. So
Why?
when
If a
you're in a
playground is
court,
a
you're
playground.
challenging it right now in court. So let's see what the court
I'm
says.
not challenging it.
No,
I
the
just
the
got
neighbors
this.
have challenged
I just
it.
pulled this
The
out and
neighbors
went
have
to the
challenged
assessors
it.
and did what I was supposed to do.
The neighbors have challenged it. We'll wait for the court. If the
But
court
I am-
says.
I'm also a neighbor.
All right, so join the
I
neighbors.
just met these people
Okay,
at a
so
Concom
it's
review.
already, it's an ongoing process. So now you
But
let
I
the
don't
courts
know-
rule.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I don't know what they're doing, and I don't know what
All right,
anybody
so
else
you
is
need
doing.
to
But
talk
now I
with-
need to know
you
for
need to
my,
talk
I
with
have
the neighbors,
questions
though.
that they don't have
All right,
answers for.
All right, but so
So-
I can't help you with that, though, because I don't have answers to why John Vassapoli made an opinion the way he made the opinion. His opinion was it does not violate the deed. The judge also said that there's a concern with the transfer of the land because it says for consideration paid. If there's consideration paid, it means that the land wasn't donated. So there's a concern there as well. And if it wasn't
Right.
donated, then that means that the conditions might be invalid. So there's a lot of moving parts in this that need to be looked at and need to be considered.
Yes, that's correct, because as I said, there's two other deeds that Mr. Vespoli does not mention in his letter of opinion that are connected to this, which is the restriction deed. He mentions the restriction, but not
So
that
that has
property.
nothing to do with us.
And then-
Like, we're the Board of Selectmen.
I understand that, but I'm trying to, as a constituent, I'm trying to find out how do I get the
I
information
said you'd have
do
to send
need.
an email to
And if
John
I-
Vassapoli.
All right, and if I do that, and it's still unsatisfactory,
Then you.
now who do I,
You're gonna
where
go to
do
the
I
court.
go?
They're going
Because
to- it's
obviously
in
this is going to
court.
push through
It's
based
in
on
court.
his
It's in court.
bogus opinion,
It's in court
his
now, though.
misrepresentation of facts.
It's in court now.
But I'm not in court. I have nothing to do with anything.
It's
whoever's in
ongoing,
court.
so join it.
Madam Chairman, if I
All
can,
right.
the neighbors have an issue before the land court. If you give them their information, they can submit it with their claim they have already,
That's right.
All right.
okay?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. With that said, is there anything else anybody would like to say this evening? Seeing none, what are the wishes of the board?
Move to adjourn, Madam Chair.
And that's second by the chair. All those in favor of adjourning,
minute.
please.
No,
Madam Chair?
I have.
Oh, we got members' motions.
I just had to
Go
bring up
ahead.
a couple things for the manager.
Go for it.
I usually don't bring up anything, but.
Please do.
Mr. Manager, if you could look into, there's a National Grid site in Golden Hills that has become the new modern-day.
Yeah, I'm aware,
pond.
I'm aware of it. We're already looking
right.
into National Grid, trying to,
Yeah, so we could just.
yeah, we have a
Confirm the party.
liaison. Yep, I'm aware, I know.
Thank you.
No
And then the
worries.
other thing I wanted to bring up is the potential of adding speed bumps to Highland Ave, like we have on Dow Street. So if you could just look into that, speeding on that street when the kids are going to school in the morning and the afternoon is crazy sometimes. So that's it, Madam Chairman.
Thank you, Selectman Cogliano. Selectman Riley.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I had on members' motions about asking our state delegation in for a meeting, so just wanted to put it to the board. We haven't had one since COVID with our state delegation to figure out, you know, what we'd like as a town with the manager, if he was to come in and find out what they're doing for us, for the people.
Who would you like at the meeting?
Well, that was my next point. So that's one way, is just to invite the state reps, Senator Creighton, and the Board of Selectmen and the people of Saugus Town Manager. My other part was, we know that the jug handle light on Route 1 creates a lot of the problems of the traffic. So I know that individual state representatives that are trying to get something done can't get anywhere. So I was thinking through the board, if we so choose to do, is to invite Revere, Malden, Linfield, Peabody, mayors, town managers, city council members, and selectmen of these cities and towns in the DOT to come in and talk about the problems that that light creates, and whether to come up with some kind of, you know, something, a plan, to be able to at least open it during rush hour, so Route 1's traffic isn't at a standstill all the time at that time of day. And I believe that the stretch in Saugus is probably the most on and off, you know, streets to get off of Route 1 than the rest of the towns that it goes through. So I just think that if we went in as the towns that it affects, that maybe we could get somewhere. So I just wanted to bring that up with the board and maybe get something that we could do, as well as a Department of Transportation person involved.
It sounds like two different meetings.
Well, it would be one
Unless
just...
you want to start, I'm throwing this out, unless you want to just start with getting Representative Wong and Representative Janino, along with Senator Crichton, you know, have a
Start there.
smaller one.
Yeah,
start
whatever you
there.
want, see what they feel for,
Get it.
that's fine. I just think that individually trying to talk to people that I've done over the last few years, which I'm sure a lot of people have, you don't get anywhere. So it's always in numbers, right, that you can get something done. So I just think it's something to visit and see what we can do to try to alleviate that light.
So what do board members think?
I'm fine. If whatever, if you want to do one meeting, 2 meetings, I'm fine.
Yeah, I thought maybe, what we could do, I thought maybe we start off with a smaller meeting, tell them whatever issues are, and then make it a bigger meeting, unless you just want to have one big meeting.
Yeah, whatever the board wants, whatever you feel, it doesn't matter, one way or the other, but just to have the conversation started.
Okay, well, we could start the conversation at our local level, and then we'll ask them if they could reach out, because they're gonna know the state reps and the selectmen and whomever from the other cities and
cities and
towns.
towns,
We
yep.
don't have that. I know some, but I don't know everyone,
Right, okay.
and
All
maybe they
right.
could help us.
Yep. All right, so if we could do that, do I need to make a motion for that?
Sure,
or
why not?
Okay, so I make a motion to invite state delegation to have an update meeting with the town manager and the Board of Selectmen.
Okay, that's seconded by the chair. Is there further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of Selectman Riley's motion, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed,
Thank you.
motion carries 5-0.
Okay, so now on to comments. I would just like, on the Saugus 411, I want to thank Donna Sordello, Jean Swanson, Nancy Bavacci, the Board of Selectmen, and the town's involvement, all the nonprofit organizations that were in attendance, Kyla Scazzarella, the principal of the high school, she was a great help, Representative Donald Wong, SCTV for covering the event, and all the businesses who shared their information and our welcome bags at the successful event. Also, thank you to the Saugus Advocate for continued weekly announcements for this event. And just one other thing, I wasn't able to attend the ribbon cutting ceremony this afternoon for Cilantro's Mexican Grill, but I have heard great reviews and I look forward to seeing it in the future, so sorry I missed it, but thank you.
Thank you, Selectman Riley. Selectman Sereno.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I'd just like to wish everybody a happy St. Patty's Day parade. I was fortunate to attend the party at the Senior Center Friday, and it was a huge turnout. Ellen LaBella was the DJ, and I want to give a shout out to Director Laurie Davis and the entire staff up there. Yeah, they did a great job. I had a lot of fun. Even the town manager looked good, all dressed up in his Irish uniform. And just to remind the public of the upcoming events we have the Little League Parade Saturday, April 12th, and we have Student Government Day, May 1st, and hopefully everybody can attend. Thank you.
Thank you, Selectman Sereno. Selectman Vice Chair Ciccolini.
Thank you, Madam Chair. To Mr. Manager, thank you to all the guys for cleanups. I know with the wind, we had some issues, and the timeliness, cutting that tree, the tree that had the problem with the wires and stuff.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate how quick, even some people are actually posted nice things about how quick people are coming out and the responses, and so it's nice to see
social media for a positive cause.
Nah, you know,
like
it's
that.
you know,
Like
it's
to hear
often overlooked, and it's usually always negative stuff. So it's actually nice to see positive comments. So thank you to all the DPW folks for a job well done.
I'll let them know. Thank you.
That's all I have, Madam.
Thank you, Selectman Ciccolini. I want to piggyback on what Selectman Sereno said about the Senior Center St. Patrick's Day Parade celebration. Sorry, Ellen LaBella, of course, does a fantastic job with entertainment every time he comes, and Laurie Davis and her crew just do a phenomenal job. We have, I think, the best senior center around. Congratulations to Cilantro's Mexican Grill, which is located in Village Plaza. They had a ribbon cutting ceremony today, and we wish them the best of luck. There's also going to be a ribbon cutting ceremony on March 28th, which is a Friday, at 10 a.m. at 371 Broadway, Lilac Dental. Wish them lots of luck. We have a, where is, do you have the, who has the citation for the 100-year-old? Do you have the citation?
Yeah.
Thank you. I just want to make sure I pronounce the name correctly. Abatina Marino is turning 100 years old, March 20th. We have a citation for her, and it's signed by all of the Board of Selectmen, so happy birthday to her. We are closing our warrant on April 15th, so anybody who does have articles that they would like to put into the warrant, please have them to us no later than April 15th. That is our second meeting in April, and our next meeting will be April 1st. So with that said, would somebody please make a motion to adjourn?
So moved, Madam Chairman.
And that's seconded by the chair. All those in favor of Selectman Cogliano's motion, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Good night, everyone.
Good night.